Hey, welcome to Geeky Faucets. I'm Amy Dale.
And I'm Christine Lucas Savage.
And this is episode 12, and we're really excited because today we have a special guest. This is Tessa, and she is a big Harry Potter geek. I think that's understatement.
I love that about you.
I don't know. Are there terms?
I don't know if there's
Like
terms.
Hoovian.
Right.
Harry Potterin?
Potterhead.
Potterhead?
Yeah. How about a Potterhead?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that was.
It's better than a pothead, I guess.
True. Potterhead.
So before we get into
Are you a wizard? Maybe that's what it is. You're a wizard. You're a wizard, Tessa.
the witch, I guess.
Which,
yeah.
this
doesn't
whatever.
It doesn't sound as cool, does it? Sounds kind of mean.
It sounds kind of, I know. You're a witch. Yeah, that's nice.
Okay, so before we get into that, though, let's talk about upcoming dates. To remind you that April 23rd, which is coming up, is Impossible Astronaut Day. So for you Whovians, that is the day that you wear tally marks all over your body to show that you. I mean,
I'm
not
doing
all
it.
over your body.
I wouldn't
Just the
recommend.
parts that show.
I wouldn't recommend Sharpies. I'm just saying.
When I did it for Halloween, I used liquid eyeliner, and it worked awesome. And it didn't
I don't
even
have
smudge.
any of that.
It worked really great. Well, I bought it for $1 at Walgreens, so it wasn't a huge investment.
No, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
I had to get some.
I actually stole the one that I was using out of my son's makeup kit. Yeah, so it worked good. And I tied it onto a thing because, that's even cooler. If you, tie it onto your, on a necklace or, something, so that you have it with you.
Right, because
then you
don't
can just take it
forget.
off
Yes.
and,
I
do
was
more.
What do you mean? Why would you tie makeup to your...
No, you just, have it.
No,
You wear
I got
it.
you now. It takes me a minute, but I get
Yeah,
there. It's
yeah.
been a long morning for me, okay?
Yes,
Just leave me
I
alone.
understand.
Don't judge.
And before we go on further, I think that Christine has some more haiku magic.
Oh, I do. I wrote these in the shower. Here's what's really awesome is in our shower, we have one of those ride-on things that scuba divers use, like a little ride-on tablet that you can use in the middle of, everything.
So you can remember it all.
Totally, because I had these great ideas. I'm sitting in the shower, I'm like, oh, that's so good. Might not, well, it's good to me. It may not be good to you, but I don't really care. So I'm like, I need to write it down because that's a lot of syllables to remember and words and things. And so anyway, I wrote them all down. Okay, here we go. First one. Cedric Diggory killed off by Lord Voldemort, a vampire maid. See what I did there?
Oh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're like, I don't care.
That was amazing.
You'll like this one. I know how you feel about Twilight, so. Okay. Ice Cold Depression, the soul-sucking demon's circle. Must eat some chocolate.
Yes, I do like that one.
Okay.
Ode to Dementors.
It is. Were they the Guardians of Azkaban?
Yes.
Was that what they were? Because my first word was Guardians, but I'm like, I'm not really sure if that's... Because I liked the word Guardians better than
Think
demons.
of them as guards. I don't know. Were they called Guardians?
I don't know what they
Guardians
are.
sort of thinks of... To me,
I know,
seems
right?
like protection.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm glad they changed it to demons because they are kind of soul-sucking demons.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the other one. 9 3/4. Steam, goodbyes, train's whistle blows. A wizard's new hope.
Ooh, I like it.
Thanks.
That's really good.
So that's my Harry Potter haiku. I only wrote 3 because water started running cold, so I had to get out.
Thank God for that scuba diver thing. That is the genius we would have missed if it wasn't in there.
I know.
Scuba diver notepad.
It's really
I
nice.
was thinking maybe you just had those bath crayons.
Right, like the little kids.
That totally would have worked. No, we are definitely
awesome.
more high tech than that. So actually, my husband does he writes business notes in the shower.
I don't get much done in the shower other than cleaning my
Other than hoping that your children aren't destroying the house while you're in there. Yeah, that's
waiting
kind
for
of...
someone to be knocking.
Yeah.
Well, my husband was home, so he was off watching. We
that's
only had
nice.
one kid home, and she's 6, so she's watching the iPad and
Yes.
Doing her own thing.
doing her own thing. And so I'm like,
awesome.
I need to have a Harry Potter haiku for a Harry Potter show.
I'm
You're
so
very
glad.
prepared.
I
really
am.
good.
I was
This is a
trying
good
to
thing.
be, good.
Maybe
So-
you're the Potterhead.
Yeah, probably not. I'd be a...
Haikus would represent more the pothead, I think.
Hey, I was not on anything as I was writing
Those
this.
are really, I think they're too good to be on.
Yeah, really. They make
It would have
actually
been
make
like
sense and
lots
stuff.
of references to food and
Right.
Well, maybe I
Butter,
should.
beer, and chocolate for all.
Yeah.
So, okay. So tell us about your entry into the Harry Potter universe.
Oh boy.
Yes.
It's been a long time because it's probably been more than half my life. Let's see, almost, because I was 16 when I read the first book, and I'm
Wow.
30 now. So,
Wow.
yeah, it seems like a really long time.
You've been writing those books for a long time.
So how many of them were out when you started?
The first one had just come out.
Okay,
I read
so-
about it in, I'm trying to remember, it might have been Time magazine.
Mm-hmm.
I read about a book called The Philosopher's Stone, and I just remember thinking, sounds awesome. And I asked my mom to like take me to the bookstore to see if they had it, and they had just gotten, the UK had just released the version of the Sorcerer's Stone to us probably 2 months before, and so I bought the book that day, and I remember perfectly starting reading it. My mom and my sister and I were headed to the movies to see The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't
that was
want to
so
stop
long
reading
ago.
it. It was so long ago. And I was like, dang it! And I had to put it down and see the movie. And the whole movie, I was like, wanted to get back to
How in the
it.
world
Yeah.
did you
Yes.
survive, like, waiting from book to book? Because I
It was
remember when I picked
horrible.
it up, all the books were out, and I'm like, what the heck? How do people wait for this mess?
It was
Like,
kind of
that's-
neat though, because each book that I have, the first one was paperback, but then I replaced it with hardback later. But all the other ones that I got were hardback, and I would pre-order, at Barnes and Noble, and I would,
You
months
have
before,
to.
and I would wait, and I have all the receipts still inside of each book
Oh, that's
from when
awesome.
I got them when they came out. So that's kind of
No, it's not
dumb,
dumb.
but cool.
No, I think that's so fun because you
Very
have like
sentimental.
the dates when you bought it. I think that's so. I mean, that's
Yeah.
like a legacy. Seriously, like a
To me, I mean, my kids will be
16-year.
like, whatever, but
Well, who cares? I own all
Scrapbook
the
it.
Twilight books, and that's how I feel about them. I don't have the receipts, but I'm like, I love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So, you fell in love right away when you
Oh
read the
yeah,
first one.
for sure.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a cool pride thing for me because I'd never introduced my sister. My older sister is very into literature and all that. She started reading to me when I was little, and she kind of introduced me into every book that I ever loved. And then I was like, "You have to read this." And
You
so
got to
she,
do that
yeah,
with
she
her.
liked it. So it was like that was the one thing I ever kind of passed on to her that she instantly became in love with, like I am, and something that we can still talk about and we share with our kids and all that stuff. So
Oh, that's super
That's
awesome.
really
fun.
fun.
But yeah,
I like that you liked it before the hype too.
me too. Although
Because
I think
that's-
it kind of made me a little bit of a snob for a while, where I was like, I read it when I was a Philosopher's Stone,
That's
still,
probably
but
how
I
we are
still-
about Doctor Who. We're like, oh, you started liking Doctor
I
Who?
used to read this book. I'm not reading it because it's so
Oh,
popular. I'm
right.
like, I refuse to read it.
Mhm.
And my cousin, everybody I know, we're like, you need to read it, you need to read it, you'll really, really love it, la la la. I'm like, don't force me to do things I don't want to do, leave me alone. And then I went over to one of their houses
what I
once,
want.
and exactly. And they're like, here, this book's for you, and handed me like the first copy of Harry Potter. I'm like, fine, okay, universe, I'm reading it.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't stop. Like, I finished, we were going on vacation, and I was in Arizona, and I finished the third book, and I'm like, I can't wait till I get home. And there was a used bookstore, so I walked right on in there and grabbed the next book, and then proceeded to, I don't know
That
how
is
you
kind of
waited.
nice. It's like a TV show where you just
It
go in
is.
on the episodes in Netflix and you don't have to
When
wait.
that
I
happens.
know. It was great.
It was nice.
So, yeah, I mean, because, I started reading, this is kind of weird, but the first one I ever read was the third one.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, because I was like, okay, enough. I've heard enough about this freaking series, and I want to read it, but, I
You
hadn't
didn't
read
have the
it.
first two?
They were out. So
She's
I was
like,
like, I was like, well, I'm just gonna dive in and see if I can understand the third book without
you?
reading. Yeah, I did actually. It was I loved it. I was like, wow, this is really good.
But then what did you do? Did you go back to the first two,
Um,
or did you just finish and
yeah,
then
I went
stop?
back to the first two. I
Okay.
think is what I did. Yeah, and then I bought it because I was like,
Right.
oh, okay, this is good. You know,
It's
what
actually good.
you're kind of like wondering. Well, I'm not really
Right.
sure about
Little
this,
kids
but
are kind of not maybe in tune with,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely hooks you. I mean,
Oh, for sure.
It totally
Yeah.
does.
and it's so readable. It's, you know what I mean? It's just like a page turner. It's not, there's
Yeah,
some literature that feels like it's a lot of work to get through.
Most of the classics.
Yeah.
Most
Yeah.
of
In fact,
them.
I have this list that I'm trying to get through, eventually, and it's the BBC Top 100
Okay.
list. And,
There's no way.
it's got a couple Harry Potter books, and so one of my good friends is doing it with me, and she was like, I guess I need to read these Harry Potter books. I was like, trust me, that's gonna be your favorite books on the whole
Right.
list. And she read them, and she was like, oh my word, I didn't ever think I would like Harry Potter, but oh my gosh, I love these books. I was like, yeah, I know, it's there, yeah.
I need to read them again.
Yeah, you read them every year, is that right?
Do you?
You must be a fast reader. I have to say this
I am
because
a fast reader. I have kids now, though.
Yeah.
Slows you down
Just
just a little bit.
Yeah, because I saw that the other day on Facebook that you posted something about I'm starting my yearly read of, and I thought I'm a super slow reader, and I thought if I read it every year, that's all I would be starting January ending and then starting again because I'm so slow. I love reading, but
that helps too, and I think if it's something you like to, it
Totally.
it helps you to read fast. I mean, because I find myself I read this, I've read them several times, obviously, and every time I read them, I'm still like anxious, like,
are you really?
It's gonna, yeah. And I found myself
she's so good at
finding
placing
something
you
new.
in there with the characters and really getting
Right.
you feeling. Yeah.
Like I honestly feel, I like one of those dorks who's really, into something where you kind of become a part of the culture where you feel like
Join
they're
the
my
club.
friends.
Right.
Like,
I know these people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Do you have a favorite book?
every time a new one would come out, I'd be like, I don't know, I loved Prisoner of Azkaban.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the introduction of new characters who played a huge part in the first two books that you didn't even know were there.
Like Sirius Black.
Right.
Yes.
And kind of the way you discover like the friendships and how they worked out and how that really plays a huge part in Harry's life for the rest of the books. But I really love the last book. It's,
Oh my word! I know.
I'm sure a lot of people say that, but
Oh, it's so good.
yeah,
And there's so much that just everything just comes together, and it's like, oh,
It's
yeah,
all right.
and the whole Snape thing.
yeah. All my favorite parts.
I
Weeping
never
and weeping and
suspected
weeping
that through the
after
whole
that,
entire
man.
book because I
Really?
hated him the whole time.
The whole friend or foe thing. Oh,
Yeah.
I always knew he was a friend, but
I
I didn't know he
didn't.
was going to be that. All of the details of everything were going to be so linked to. I mean, yeah, crazy. I can't believe that she could even write a character like that. It's just.
And what gets me is that she's like, oh yeah, I came up with this on the subway.
Yeah, on the
He's like,
train.
and this kid came into my mind with glasses, and then the whole thing. I'm like,
Yeah, that
10
doesn't
books
happen to
worth,
me.
really,
Yeah.
or 8 books, or whatever it was. I'm like, Do you know what I saw? Okay, I will divulge this little piece of information. I go onto lamebook.com. It's like the worst of and the funniest of Facebook posts that people.
Lamebook?
It's called lamebook.com,
Oh, okay.
and it's really, really funny. People are idiots. It's great. And this one person wrote, he's like, she gets, what is it? I can't believe how bad the Harry Potter books are. Why don't they just leave the movies alone? And I was like, what? Are you serious right now? This person actually thought the books were written after the movies. And I'm like,
Oh,
were
that's
you
just
like,
sad.
born under
I also saw
what?
one. It wasn't on. It was some kind of meme or something like that. They had taken a screenshot of somebody on Facebook who had said something like, something about I've read all 5 of the Harry Potter books or something like that.
Congratulations, you're missing 3.
Yeah, oopsies or 2.
Or 2,
right?
I mean, sorry.
Yeah.
I always forget that the movies is 8 and the books
Oh
is
yeah, it's a
7.
bit confusing.
Right. They had to split it. It's
I hate when they do that.
it's kind of funny how I almost get defensive because I feel like they're my friends.
Yeah.
Because they've been part of my life for so long that like if someone says something, my husband's parents, they're not really read for pleasure kind of people anyway, and Dalton's not really so much either. He's getting a little bit more into it, but he doesn't have a bunch of time.
Yeah.
But they don't understand. And my mother-in-law all the time says like, I get a lot of things about you, but I do not get the whole Harry Potter thing.
I don't
And I'm like,
understand. How do you not read for pleasure? Like,
I
what do
don't
you
know.
read for? Like, I'm going to educate
Work.
myself? Like,
yeah.
oh, work?
Mm-hmm.
How boring.
I know.
Dude, I find a
I'm
lot
sure
of
your parents are
women.
lovely, but
I have talked to, especially women in particular, that feel guilty about reading fiction. Like they feel like they should be reading something that's productive and helpful and
Lord.
whatever else. And I'm just like,
I feel like
Dude.
Harry Potter did a lot for
I was
me
gonna
morally
say
and
that.
spiritually than like any
That's
other.
probably
see,
true.
and
You're
I was
probably
gonna
right.
say that for me, I feel like fiction is more helpful than
Right.
reading. Because I feel like when I read self-help or some of those kind of books, it makes me feel worse about myself.
Right.
Totally.
And
That's
just
why
am
I
like,
stopped reading parenting books.
Oh, well,
Exactly.
I
can't
Because
read
that
those
is written
things.
by a person who has it all figured out.
Right.
It's so
Right.
perfect.
Those people.
And you're
Their
like,
kids.
I'm not friends with any of those people, for the record. They're not
oh.
friends with me. So, But did you see the Ron and Hermione thing coming?
Yes.
You did? You totally nailed it.
I mean,
you were
not
like,
from the
yeah.
very beginning.
Right.
You know, you're just getting introduced to those characters, and but for sure, yeah. I don't know, and I was so excited too. I was like, yay, everyone gets to stay together.
Well, they have a rough relationship, though. I mean, like, they have some...
They do, but, you know, it's sort of strange because it's kind of, it's weird when you look at the whole thing. Like, most books, you know, you've got this, I don't know, protagonist or whatever the story is based on specifically them.
Right.
And there's not so much room for anyone else, you know, as a whole. You kind of...
It's hard to care about more than one person.
Right. But she does such an awesome job of making it very inclusive, where it's... Obviously the books are Harry Potter, but
really there's three main characters.
There's these main characters who also include this larger group outside of themselves. And it's awesome how she kind of allows, over these 7 books, people to see that, like, that bigger picture, you know, of friendship, family, love, where you've got this bad guy off by himself, and it's really easy to understand why he is very unsuccessful. You know, he's powerful, but he's unsuccessful because he doesn't have the
love and the family,
that bond,
and
those links.
Yeah.
Right. He's very, like, naturally reclusive, you know, and I think it's really cool that she didn't specifically make things just about Harry, you know.
Yes.
I think that's really cool.
It was really important for him to have vulnerability and be, I mean, he was this chosen one, the one that, you know, the boy who lived, but without having these specific people around him, even the people who weren't, like, highlighted characters, you know, you become very attached to Neville and Luna and all these people on the outside who form this circle around him.
it teaches you a life lesson that you can't do it alone. Like, you need to have friends around, like a good support, because Harry could never have done it alone. Like, each and every one of them had a super important part in his life.
Right.
You know, and I love that. And like I said before, you care about all of them. Because for me, I'm like, okay, I don't really care about you that much, but I get why you're in the story. But those guys, I'm like,
every single
love
person.
each and every single one of you.
I mean, you can cry when an owl dies.
I know!
It's like, okay, then you know that, like, that little character was extremely important to the story. And, you know, this owl goes from the beginning of the book, and, you know, with Harry discovering who he is, and that someone who he just meets physically, who, you know, saved him when he was a baby, loved him that much to give him a gift the first day that he met him. That was, like, hugely significant.
Can I just say?
I do too.
I kind of want him to be my uncle. You know what I mean? Like the cool uncle that'll take me on flying bikes.
Yeah.
Right. I like that.
That would be awesome.
A cool uncle like that.
But yeah, I think with Ron and Hermione, it's sort of that, you know, you with that huge group of people, you kind of see, with Ron specifically, you know, it's kind of human nature to, especially for guys, I think, to kind of have that who's in charge type thing, you know? And so there's a few, it's just amazing to me how many details she puts in every book. And I learn something new every single time I read it, where I'm like, I didn't catch that before, you know?
That's so cool. And
you see Ron sort of succumb to the ideas of that he's not as good as Harry, you know, even from the beginning. And, you know, to the Triwizard Tournament, and he's wondering, you know, like, Harry put one past him, and he wants this fame, and, you know, and so they have these struggles in their relationship, and you see just him and Hermione kind of, where he instantly goes to Hermione for help, or he, you know, and so they're setting up these little situations through the whole book, but they all kind of come back to each other, but those two specifically, you know, like, I don't know, needing each other in the middle of, you know, like, there's this huge amount of fame, and they're very needed for, I don't know, Hermione's smart, and Ron is kind of the
he kind of takes her down a notch. And he takes her down a notch, too, because she's a little too serious sometimes. You're like, dude, just relax a little bit and skip a class.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
Instead of using a time turner to take double classes.
I know, right? I was trying to think of a haiku for a time turner, but I couldn't. I didn't get that far in the shower.
Maybe next time.
I know. Sorry.
So, yeah, and if you haven't read the books and you've only seen the movies, if you haven't done either, you should probably get on that. If you
You
haven't,
should.
if you haven't read the books though, you really should, because there's, I mean, they did. I really feel like that they did a great job translating the books into movies. I really do. I think they did about as good as they could have done. But there are some things in the books that are not in the movies that you really should read, because
they
they're
have
so
to leave
good.
out for time's sake.
Yeah, like Peeves. I mean, you know, like I love him, and I love the whole like Halloween with the ghosts, the party thing, the dead party or whatever it was. Just, I mean, it was pretty classic.
A lot of good
and
relationships and
Yeah.
events, and it just goes to show you how much more detailed like her brain is. You know, they can't even fit everything into these 8 movies that are like long. You know, because it's just so like detailed.
That's true for any book turned into movie, though. There's always stuff left out, and so you always have to read the books first. Unless the movie really, really sucked, then maybe you could probably skip it.
But Harry Potter is one of those, I feel this way about Lord of the Rings too, where you can, like, I can say, giving it the understanding that a book and a movie are not equal, they're very different mediums. Like, I would say that it is one of those things that I thought that they did almost equally as good.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It probably helped too that she kind of fit, especially in the last one, she had final say and kind of like creativity and the story and all that. That probably really did help. And maybe that's why those were the best movies too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So those are your favorites, the last two?
I mean, I thought they were all
great.
good.
Yeah.
You know, I think of all of the movies, I like the first one the best.
I love the Goblet of Fire. That's what it's called, right?
That's
Yeah, the fourth
one.
Yeah. I love that one, the Triwizard Challenge. That's a really fun one.
The first one, I just think
yes,
they're so...
me too. I love that one too. We watched it the other day for the first time because my son, we were reading through the books and watching the movies after, and I just watched that one the other day and I loved it. It's so good.
The first one, they're just so cute and innocent and adorable. I'm like, I just like you all. And that's when you get to see the little chocolate frog. I want a chocolate frog.
Right.
I was watching Duck Dynasty last night. I bought the first 2 seasons. I know, totally random. But one of the guys likes to catch frogs, and so I'd like to catch a chocolate frog. Sorry, I'm that's like way out of here.
It would
but
be more delicious. For
it
sure.
would be more delicious. Although they can apparently cook frog legs, and they are tender and juicy, according to people in Duck Dynasty.
I've always heard that. Maybe from the Muppets when I was when
they're trying to get Kermit.
Yeah,
but I was like, terrifying.
I don't know, that doesn't sound good.
I don't know. These people think
Kermit's
it's a
legs would
delicacy.
not be much either.
Maybe
a little pencil. Yeah.
But I'd like a chocolate frog. And speaking of food in Harry Potter, have you tried the every flavor beans? Birdie Bots every flavor beans?
I have.
I haven't tried every flavor.
I haven't tried every flavor, but I have tried them.
My husband did a radio show thing with a friend of his, and they actually did a taste testing of the Birdie Bots every flavor beans. And they
really get.
They really did, and they
spit
tripe most of them. Oh yeah, they spit most of them out. They're like, oh, and like, yeah, it was actually quite comical to watch. I'm too afraid to try. I'm like, I really don't want to taste boogie flavored ones.
Yeah,
like that's.
Yeah, I get enough gross not wiped on me and all that.
Yeah.
It's pretty gross. So, what are some of your favorite scenes, like book or movie? Because I noticed, like in 3, like in Prisoner of Azkaban, they changed a lot of the. Like in the movie, I like what they did in the movie, but it's really different from the book. Like as far as the format of how things happened, and
usually what I have to do now is like if I want to watch a movie, I'm like, okay, now I have to read the book because even having read them so many times, I'm like, what really happened?
I know, it was confusing, right? I mean, like even in my mind when I'm reading The Prisoner of Azkaban, the part where Snape is sort of floating after he's been knocked out, and they're like having it. That's so comical, and I love that scene, but it's not in the movie, so it's kind of disappointing. But I love what they did.
Yeah. I think, they did a pretty good job. And matching characters, like people to characters.
Yeah, the casting types.
Really,
casting was great.
Alan Rickman, I love him.
Oh my
I like him a lot too.
I love him.
Yeah,
and
he's so versatile too. That's what I like about him. He can play anything.
He really can. Like
in Love Actually,
sensibility.
Oh yeah, and then in Love Actually, he's like way over here. Like
I'm like,
oh my word.
And then, but he's kind of that same. Everyone's like, but he's so mean and creepy, and Harry Potter, but at the same time, it's like, but he's not, that's one of my favorite parts of the tattoo that I have is, when he, and my sister sent me
always. Oh, look at her fingers. How much you can see that. It says always.
I was going to ask you if you had a Harry Potter tattoo.
I have many. And
do you?
I'm getting more. Yeah.
What's another one? Can we see one at all?
It's more like ideas
Mixed into
these
I
are
see.
for my kids and stuff. Yes, and I'm getting one with my sister. That's just a quote, and I've got having our tattoo artist draw one up right now that I don't know what to make because it's huge, but it's like phoenixes too.
Oh.
The phoenixes.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that, and I want to put the quote that's on his parents' headstone under there.
What's that quote?
The last evil to be defeated is death, or something like that.
Right.
I don't know why all of a sudden I can't remember because normally I remember.
Yeah.
It's
but
because
you know,
you're
when
on
it's
camera. I have
Yeah.
the same problem.
That's what always happens.
Our
to
brains
me.
just leave the
I
building.
actually had a
Yeah.
notebook and wrote it down because I was like, I know that's what happens. Is like someone asked me and I'm like,
I can't think on the spot.
and then I
My middle
sound like
name?
I have
I'm
no
not
idea.
sure. Yeah.
But
Totally
the
understand.
last enemy to be defeated is death, and one of the phoenixes is for our friend Kyle who died, and the other one is for a miscarriage that I had. And so you know, a phoenix is
rebirth.
yeah. And
That's really cool.
so it seems like every idea that I ever have, Dalton's like, it's Harry Potter, isn't it?
You're like, actually, yeah. We might come back to that.
Yes.
But that's okay.
But
That's
it is.
okay.
I'm like,
You're okay.
I've seen people who have like his, Daniel Radcliffe's face tattooed on them, and I'm like, if you want to, fine.
Right, if that's
I'm
what
not
you-
going to,
Right.
but fine,
Yeah.
To each
So-
his own.
We didn't get. I interrupted you.
My
favorite scenes.
One of my favorite scenes is in the book. I really love Alan Rickman also, but I love how when Snape is finally killed, and it goes to show character on both their sides because Harry, he goes to him, this person that he thinks
and
is
he treats him with dignity,
Yes.
and even though he's been kind of a jerk.
right, and he thinks he killed Dumbledore and all of these things, and has had it out for him his whole life. And he takes, his memories, and he goes and Snape had asked him to see the memories, you know. And I love the part when he dies, and he says, "Look at me." That's the last thing he says to him, because he wants to see his mother's eyes, Lucy Lily's eyes, and I just love that part that he, and that Harry does that for him too. Like it's the whole thing just. There's so much respect and kindness. And
So have you listened to the audiobook?
No.
Okay, because the audiobook is amazing. Like, there's this guy, his name is Jim Dale, which is why it's so awesome, I'm sure, because his last name is Dale.
You're related.
And yes, we're distantly related, I'm sure. He's got this great accent, and he does the voices okay, so I don't know if you do voices when you read these books to your kids, but I do. And the one that I have a really hard time with is Hagrid. I cannot do that man's
Does
voice.
he actually sound like the characters from the
He
movies?
sounds a lot like them.
Really?
Really,
I love
and
that.
it's
Even
amazing.
the girls?
Yeah.
I
I mean,
love
he
it.
doesn't sound like a girl,
voices.
but he's got enough of the element in there. So I'm like,
That's awesome.
wow.
As long as you can get like the cadence right of the characters, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter if it's
Yes,
a girl
it's got
or
that
not. It's
vibe
like-
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Ron, I love his Ron voice too. It's really great. And he nails Hagrid, which I cannot at all. I tried every time I tried it. I'm reading it. I'm like, I'm sorry. That was supposed to be Hagrid. Just pretend that was
Just do a
Hagrid.
robot.
Yeah, exactly. And so the movies came out when the books were like, how many books?
And let's see, okay. What year was it when I was 16? Was that like 1997 or 90?
97 or 96 probably.
I want to say 97.
I graduated
I
high
don't
school
know.
in
I know.
I'm like,
I graduated high school in 98.
So
and I was
approximately.
16, so
Okay.
I mean 18.
I was
I'm
like,
not
wow.
I'm a genius. It's my superpower, y'all.
I think so. I think 2 books, almost 3 books were out when the first movie came out in 2001.
And so what was that experience like for you?
It was very, I remember going to some movie one time and seeing the movie poster, in
The Harry Potter
thing,
poster.
and it was just a lightning bolt, and I was like, I almost died. I told my mom, I was like, look, and she's like, what?
Somebody just geeked
But I was
out
like,
all over the poster.
I don't even know what to do. And she's like,
It's just a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
She's like, wow,
She's
that's
like, honey,
amazing.
calm down.
Yeah.
There's some things to take.
Right. And then they slowly progressed, to where it was, even, how they do,
They
the
tease you at
the
first.
teaser trailers
Yeah.
and then the little bit longer ones.
Oh,
And I
those
just could
teaser
not,
ones.
wait for the next one. And the next poster, of course, was, I think, the movie cover now, where it's like face, Hogwarts,
Yes.
owl,
Yes.
But
Yes.
I was just like, oh my gosh. Yeah, and the music, that's what got me. When I
I
saw the
love
first
the
trailer and the
music.
music, I was like, this is good.
I just realized recently, at least I think, I hope I'm not wrong, but John Williams did the music?
That sounds right.
Which I was like,
Who's
wow,
John Williams?
has done every great movie.
Right.
Like Jurassic Park, Star Wars, Indiana
Oh.
Jones.
And you think of
I
those
mean, like,
movies,
if you think of any
immediately hear
epic,
the
amazing
music.
know the
sound,
music,
then
yeah.
he's pretty much done it.
And it's
so,
funny because I can whistle that, and like just a little piece of it, and my kids are like, Harry Potter? So it's
You're like,
funny
and
how
I've
the brain
taught
makes
you well
those
today.
I
connections.
love that little theme. That is
Oh, it's
so
so good. And
good.
it's so
It's
like
very catchy. It is perfect.
totally
Fits it,
captures it.
Yeah.
It's like
totally
it's
does.
magical and it's kind of mysterious.
Magical,
and,
whimsical,
yeah.
mysterious, all at the same
Yes.
time. I love that.
I don't get people
Totally.
who can do that, who they can, like Lord of the Rings.
Just
you hear
like
that,
look
you're
at
like,
it and make music to go with it. I
Right.
know.
and it's
Yeah.
just that's
Because I could
recognition.
barely make music, period.
Right.
End of sentence. Like, people hear me sing and they're like, shut up. Stop making music.
Yeah, and when I write songs, all that comes out is cheesy country. So I mean,
That's
like
okay.
I can't.
At least you write.
imagine-
I know, I do too.
Can't
At least you
imagine.
can write a song. Like,
But
I
that's
would
so
try to write
different.
a song and it would be like,
Because it's like they create emotion in us,
Yeah,
like with what they
right.
do, and it's amazing.
Right.
It's really, really
because
cool.
you can just the same where you cry those parts of the movie because they connect.
They trigger
They do. You hear that sound that you've always heard when it's a character,
And your brain's like,
it's
"Cry
sort
now!"
of sad. And you're like, oh my gosh,
what's going to happen? Don't go in the door. Don't go in the door.
Yeah, it's totally true.
It's a magical job that they have. That's for sure. People who are like score composers and that's
Yes,
It's crazy
it
to
is.
me. I don't.
I want to know what their process is for coming up with stuff like that. Like, are they in the shower with like waterproof music?
Composing.
Their
Yeah,
whole
I
lives,
don't
so
even
I'm
know.
sure
I
it's
just, I
always
love it.
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like Danny Elfman is another one of those. Like
Mm-hmm.
every
And Hans
movie,
Zimmer.
right?
Yeah.
You're like, seriously,
Yeah.
and you think because like specifically Danny Elfman does those kind of like Tim Burton type movies, and so they have a theme somewhat, and you're like, how can you write that many different compositions
And not sound like you're
for
writing the same.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's weird.
I know.
It's
It
really
is really
weird.
so
I could
cool.
not do it.
amazing.
Very creative.
Okay, so my son is as I think I said earlier, that he's at the Wizarding World. Have you been?
No.
And do you have plans? Do you have plans to go?
Yes, of course.
Okay,
That's
because
gonna be awesome.
I have gotten these pictures back that are like,
You just kind of want to hit your own kid.
Totally.
It looks amazing. Like he's drinking butterbeer
Like,
outside of
thanks.
Hogwarts, and then he's like outside the Hogwarts Express with the conductor, and I'm like, oh.
Oh, that's so nice. Don't
Like,
send
I'm
me
so
more
glad
pictures.
you're having so much fun,
It looks
son.
amazing though, but that would be a really fun trip. I mean, like
For sure.
you would be,
Yeah.
you
I
might
think I might not
near
come home.
heart attack
I'd be like,
the entire time.
I
Sorry
signed up for
being here in
Hogwarts. That's
Hogwarts.
right.
Yeah.
I didn't get my letter, but apparently they still want me.
That's right. Did you ever see the SNL when Daniel Radcliffe hosted? And there was this one skit they did where it was Harry Potter still living in Hogwarts, like 10 years.
Like he hadn't given up.
And
Yeah,
I'm
he was
Harry
like,
Potter.
I'm Harry, like he's still living on the
Right.
old fame.
It was
Yes,
awesome.
that was
People
really,
probably
really
didn't care. I
funny.
didn't see that.
Oh
That
my
sounds
gosh,
just
it was
funny.
really,
yeah,
really
that'd be
funny.
me. I'd be like,
I know.
so
anyway, I'm still here.
I live in
What's
that
up, guys?
right there.
That's awesome.
Oh,
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was
Thank
super
you.
fun to have you here and share your Harry Potter-ness with us, so we can all be Potterheads.
Yes.
Let us know when you get your new tattoos.
Oh yeah, I will.
Because that's going to be painful yet amazing.
We can post them on Facebook.
Right?
Hello! Remember our guest?
She did it. She actually did it.
Yeah.
Which is a huge feat in itself, I'm just saying. I can't imagine how bad that's going to hurt.
Oh yeah, me neither. I'm trying not to think about it.
Yeah. Just
Sorry.
think about Harry Potter while
That's
you're
right.
doing it.
Maybe they'll let you bring a portable DVD player while you're watching Harry Potter.
Well, my tattoo artist has actually been to
Wizarding World of Harry
yes,
Potter.
like several times with his wife. They
Wow.
posted pictures and I'm like,
I hate you.
Oh,
Well, you've got the right tattoo artist for a
That's
Harry
right,
Potter
so
tattoo.
I'll
for
know
sure.
what to do.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and please feel free to, post stuff on Facebook and tell us what you think.
You
Tell
have
us
a
your
Harry
favorite
Potter
books,
too.
your favorite
Yeah, if you have
characters.
a Harry Potter tattoo, go ahead and post that so we could see it.
Yeah, give us your
I wanna
whatever.
see
We want to hear all about what you
Mhm.
think, and so yeah, we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.